Stranded Alien Dawn. Is it worth a buy? Let's read the words of the developer. Brave a new world in Stranded Alien Dawn, a planet survival sim placing the fate of a small marooned group in your hands. Forge your story through compelling and immersive strategic gameplay as you make vital decisions to protect your survivors. Yes guys, Stranded Alien Dawn is here. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, and it totally reminded me of RimWorld. And in fact, it's RimWorld with nicer graphics and a few other changes. It is early access, so it's got a long way to go. There's a lot of things iffy and dodgy and oof about it that did kind of annoy me, but there's some things that are great. So let's get into it and see what it's like. So you start off with picking your group of survivors. Again, RimWorld. You look at what you can take, you look at their stats, you look at how they get on with each other, you look at what they're good at, what they're bad at, what they don't give a shit about, and obviously you pick them to try and get a good spread of skills across your 4 players. You can only pick 4 of them. You will get other survivors coming to your camp later on in the game, but initially you have these 4, so make sure you pick wisely. I didn't and had to start again after about 6 hours. Once you've picked them, you get a procedurally generated planet to settle on. You crash land down and it's really cool watching the spaceship coming through the atmosphere and then boom, hitting the deck. And you're just left standing there by the wreckage. Some of you might be crying your little eyes out because, you know, they can't take it. So, yeah, we've had a couple of crew members just crying. But, you know, most of them, you know, pull themselves together and just dig into the situation, make the best of a bad situation, so to speak. You've got supplies, you've got a spaceship that you can strip down. There's other wreckages of the spaceship landed nearby that you can explore and get salvage from and things like that. And the planet looks absolutely gorgeous. It's inhabited by all kinds of wildlife. Some are friendly, some are certainly not so friendly. You've got trees, you've got all kinds of plants and rock formations. You've got all the raw materials to start over afresh. Oh, just imagine, guys, if we could start over. I'll be on the first fucking flight out of this fucking shithole if I could, to start afresh on a new. Never mind. First things first, you got to build yourself a little shelter, get your little stockpiles going, get a bit of a roof over the top of your stockpiles so that the rain doesn't deteriorate them more, because everything matters in this game. Starvation, the rain, it deteriorates things. Shelf life for food, the cooler it is, the longer the last. You eventually get electricity and deep freezers. More on that in a second. But initially, you've just got you're a caveman kind of times. You got no technology apart from the laser pistols that you managed to salvage, guys. Yeah, you got a couple of laser pistols, and they're very, very handy. But soon enough, you can start making crossbows and bow and arrows, spears, and rudimentary weapons like that. Once you've got a basic camp up and running, you start studying things, and this is where your intellect of your group comes in handy. Eventually you'll be able to do research as well, and that will uncover a load of stuff for crafting and building. This is more for me it's a bit of a first impressions. These kind of games last forever, and I haven't had the time to go a long way into it because I had to do Scorn yesterday, and I've been doing the new Warhammer. I got into the playtest of that today, so I've only been able to spend about 11 hours over a couple of playthroughs on this, 3 playthroughs actually, so I haven't got far into the game, but I did do all the tutorials, which are excellent tutorials on this, and they show you how to work auto turrets, traps in your base, building walls around your base, luring in the enemy into choke points, because you do get attacked. After a couple of hours, I would say, of actually playing the game, you'll start and get attacked by some rather nasty enemies, and they just get worse and worse, the enemies, as the game goes on. But you get better and better, you get more people, more resources, a bigger base, more weaponry and things, and so it expands like that. The downside of this game for me is the people are totally unrealistically fucking moody. They're like wet fucking blankets, they are. The slightest thing. Do you know what? Alright, you've crash landed, get over it. Make the best of what you've got here. I built them a fucking house. They had a house with central heating pretty much inside. They had a carpet on the floor, and they're still throwing fucking tantrums all. I don't like it, we're all gonna die. Where's the, just camaraderie, get together? 2 of them were hot. 2 of the chicks were hot. And, 2 guys, 2 chicks hot. There's no reason why they wouldn't have got on. No reason. All right, one of them was a Terminator cyborg from the future with a sniper implant in his eye, and he looks quite formidable. But again, make the most of a bad thing, guys. But yeah, they whinge on, they get depressed, they go on like temper tantrums, they go off wandering, they go on food binges for pretty much no reason at all. They had farm, they had plenty of food, there was a roof over their head, they had heat, and they had weaponry, they had a whole planet to explore, and it's just, do you know what really pissed me off? They were getting a lot of minuses to their personality because they were sleeping on a rough straw bed outside. And so every day they were getting a bit of a minus to that because it was shit. So I built them a house, put them a proper bed in there, and do you know what? They then started to get pissed off. The cave dweller debuff. -6 or something because there was no carpet on the floor. I mean, are you fucking serious? You've just come off sleeping on a straw bed outside into a fucking central heated house with a lovely bed and you're still not happy. I had to build them a fucking carpet out of valuable cloth that was used for bandages, but they'd rather a fucking carpet. So I think they should rework all that because it's bullshit. Absolute fucking bullshit. I mean, these people would. I mean, the cyborg Terminator guy was crying his eyes out. Crying his eyes out because of a fucking carpet. The last started crying their eyes out at the table, and you get an option to go over and just smack them around the face and knock them out. So I obviously did that. So this guy went over and punched her. I wish I'd recorded that. I just caught the aftermath of when he punched her 3 times and she did nothing. Then she stood up and smacked him once and knocked him out. Man, what a wimp. So obviously Cyborg Man comes over and did the deed, like, shut up. But you have to do that sometimes because, you know, they're spreading dissent in the group. Yeah, knock them out, hide into bed and just say, no, get over it. But yeah, it does need a bit of rework on that. Everything else I really did enjoy. In the tutorial, I got to play around with electricity, which is great. You build freezers to put your food in, and you power that with sort of solar panels, windmills and things like that. And as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the video, you also get auto sentries, you get flamethrowers and all kinds of stuff. And it seems pretty easy to do. You just wire it all up with cables, and you can even get a battery to store any electricity that you create that you don't use for when there's maybe a power cut or stuff like that. So it does seem to have a lot of stuff built into the future, even in this stage of early access. So we'll just wait and see what else comes into the game. The only other gripe that I had was getting them to do the chores, getting them to do the work, even using the tools at your disposal to set tasks and prioritize the tasks, just like you do in RimWorld. It didn't feel as good, and certainly by glancing at it, you couldn't see who's good at what. There needs to be more time put into the UI to give a little bit more information, so you can just glance at things and get all the information you need, rather than having to sort of mouse over stuff and look at people's skills to remind yourself of what they're good and what they're bad at, because they do have a lot of skills. Even if they don't major in a certain one, they'll still have 5 or 6 or 7 other skills as well. And so you need to kind of know where they are with all of that, and I don't feel that the game gives you enough info on that when you're sorting out what their priority tasks should be. But it's still a great game, and I'm looking forward to it coming out of early access when I'll give it a full-on review.